I got this question from an audience member. They said, "Do you think that Xbox is good for the industry and or for the games industry?" And this is a very interesting question because you never really know how the guard can change. Right now, the reason Xbox is where it is, I think, and I believe, is because of the people at the helm of that company in terms of gaming. And this is, Microsoft and their gaming ventures via Xbox, the acquisition of Activision Blizzard King, and all the above. You can give them credit for, how it all went down. Satya Nadella for being willing to push for the acquisition of such important content and then that content going on Game Pass. You can credit Phil Spencer for taking a much more consumer-friendly focus with entitlements for people who are in the Xbox ecosystem. Things like Game Pass, Sarah Bond coming in with the Xbox Everywhere moniker that just expanded and accentuated even much of what Phil had been doing. These things have been good for the industry, but the guard can change. These companies can switch up on you. So as much as I can tell you from an objective perspective that these things are good, I also, from an objective perspective, or I guess I'll say from an experiential perspective, tell you that these companies can switch up on you in a heartbeat. So you have to hedge yourself as the consumer. So I'll talk about the things that I think Xbox and the leadership so far have done for the industry to make it what I think is a much better industry, or at least a disrupted industry that is shaking it up to look at the consumer with a different light, and then we'll go on from there. So, number one, this particular company, because of their position in the market, third place, they decided that they were going to take the approach of looking at you, the consumer, and serving you so that you would pretty much find them attractive. What this means is they opened up the bank account. If you're on the Xbox ecosystem, whether you're on console, whether you're on PC, you have access to what I think is some of the greatest service benefits that I've seen out there. For them to open up their ecosystem and say the games that we make from our studios, we're going to give them to you the first day if you subscribe to our subscription service, while nobody else is going to do this in the industry, is the disruption that the market actually needed. You see, the market was getting fat, lazy, and bloated, and someone had to take the approach, someone who wanted to win, had to move fast and quickly attract the consumer and leave the old school practices. Now, they didn't do it without any pushback. In fact, what was crazy is there was a lot of pushback, which was surprising because you would think that a lot of consumers were interested in actually getting a better value proposition. But the punditry and a lot of those who were talking about this stuff seemed to think that this was, a sign of capitulation and weakness, which was very funny to me. I was thinking to myself, no. This company is begging for your money. That's what they're doing. They weren't capitulating to PlayStation. They could buy PlayStation. You know what I mean? They were looking for a way into the gaming industry to secure a position, and it just happened to be that the people that were the gatekeepers was you and I, the customer. They needed our money. So what did they do? They found a way to be, rewarded with our money and to actually earn it. That's what's happened in Xbox's ecosystem, and that's why the gaming industry is now paying attention differently. So when you look at another aspect, which would be something like, say, even the Xbox All Access program, some of you may or may not know what that is. At the launch of the console, cycle in this Series X and PlayStation, Xbox had a deal where you could actually get a 24-month free loan to buy an Xbox and pay that loan off with zero interest if you paid it off within 24 months. A lot of people got their Xboxes with this, especially when they were scalpers. You couldn't find Xboxes too. People forget that you couldn't find Series S's and Series X's. In fact, that was the only way I could buy myself an Xbox at the time because I was curious about the Xbox ecosystem. I'd bought a PlayStation. I was already gaming on PC back in 2016, but I still keep consoles because, again, I'm a gamer. If there's something on the console I want to play, I'm definitely jumping in there. You know what I mean? And so seeing them actually open up access and say, hey, man, if you want our consoles, here are consoles that scalpers won't want to touch because these consoles were bundled. So the scalpers understood that, man, I'm going to buy a console with 2 years of Game Pass and all that. They probably weren't going to see a lot of profit from it because that's what they were doing. It opened the door for people to be able to get consoles. Then you had Game Pass. Game Pass came in with this proposition at the end of the day and has already caused what I think is a chasm between the PlayStation player and their ecosystem and platform, PlayStation, whereby these players are asking and saying, what are we paying money here for? because Xbox has actually created a new expectation in the market that if you're on somebody's ecosystem, they have to give you the world. That's what they did. Now, did they do it because they really loved and care for the customers? Well, they knew that the customers was the avenue for them to basically reach a new position in the market. But don't be fooled. They also did it because they probably knew that PlayStation would be hamstrung if they tried to do it. And they understood that they had the staying power and they had basically the financial capability to be able to pull it off. But it's working because PlayStation users are looking and saying, hey, PlayStation, what are we paying you guys $17.99 for every month? When the guys that are paying $19.99 are literally getting brand new games, why are we not getting these games at the end of the day? That's why Nintendo has also, and believe it or not, as much as they may sell consoles, they've lost some of their user base. And they haven't even launched the console. Some people have seen their proposition and said, wait, hold on. I'm going to pay $80 for that? Do you know why they can say that? Because Xbox is like, you can pay $80 for that, or we can give you the world if you come into our ecosystem. How do you want to play it? And a lot of these people, believe you me, are looking at Xbox and saying, heck yeah, we'll come into your ecosystem. Are you kidding me? We really would love to come into your ecosystem. There's no doubt that we would enjoy coming into your ecosystem if you would grant us that possibility. And so Xbox is saying, sure. Now, again, like I said, you got to watch out. Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and all these people are not going to be there forever. The new guard may show up and be trash, right? But before the new guard shows up, it seems like Phil Spencer is very, very concerned about hedging an Xbox and forging an Xbox that looks like this even after he's gone. Because the market is not going to be able to rebound from this thing happening so easily. You know what I mean? Like, this is not going to be something that can just go back. The genie, is no longer going to be able to get back in that bottle. And so that's what you're seeing here with this particular discontent that's been created. This is what I'm showing you guys. So is Microsoft good for the gaming industry? My answer is the people who are running Xbox right now are disrupting the industry, and that's good for the industry. Nintendo can come out here with an old school, old class hardware software and try to sell it for $449, and you can actually thumb your nose at it because you have solid options. Not just another option, like solid options that doesn't even require you to even have that hardware. You can go get your own hardware, right? And do whatever you want with your hardware, and you'll still be able to get access to that option that's much better within the Xbox ecosystem. PlayStation can sell you an exclusive all day, all night. They can basically block games or do whatever they want to do, and you could just thumb your nose at it, depending on what platform you're playing on, and go ahead and enjoy another proposition that's out there for way less money. The industry's old school way of doing things is dying, and Xbox wants to kill it. Now, again, like I said, is it because they love the customer or whatever? No, but it benefits them. And so you as the customer, you basically what it is you find a strategic piece where there's mutual benefit between you and the current Xbox right now. It can change. It can always change. Even those of us on Steam, as much as we talk about Steam and so on and so forth, the reality is, Gabe Newell is going to retire one day. He's going to leave all this stuff and maybe start doing something else. Is Steam going to carry the same spirit of the consumer, the customer friendly aspect of its business? If it does, great for them. If it doesn't, then what are the gamers going to do? That's why most gamers hedge themselves. This is why PC gaming has been renegade, and we don't even need Steam. You get what I mean? But still, if you as the gamer want to basically hedge yourself, you got to find ways to do so, regardless of what ecosystem that you're on. This is why most gamers have multiple ecosystems. We're trying to hedge ourselves from the different, shenanigans that could be out there. And anybody could be the source of those shenanigans. Doesn't matter who they are. It could be Microsoft tomorrow. It could be PlayStation tomorrow. It could be Nintendo tomorrow. But as of now, it seems like you have a calling card that all of these people want, and only Xbox has behaved as if they recognized it. The others were all fronting like, oh, they don't really need you, you need them. When in reality, they've always needed you. Xbox was the first to say, hey, man, we need you. Here, we'll give you the world. Right? And so now all of them are basically they've come out of their, their little costumes that they were cosplaying all this while. Oh, yeah, you it's a privilege for you to play our games is what they kind of seemed like they were doing. But now they're moving up to, oh, well, It's our privilege if you would just, give us a little bit of your money. So someone had to basically reteach the industry who was the boss here. And the gamer has been the boss. And Xbox has actually pretty much been the one to acknowledge first that the gamer is the boss. The others are now following suit. So this is how I envision Xbox as a strategic partner to give me the very best benefit as a gamer. And the others will follow suit. Right? And that's what it is. Because if the others don't follow suit, they're going to go out of business, or they're going to move away from being relevant if they keep doing things the old school way. Think about it. When Nintendo said that they were going to come out here and do all this stuff and blah, 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 do you see how much resistance? They had to go advertise on Digital Foundry. Do you know? That's the most shocking thing I've ever seen. They got shook. And then somewhere, somehow, out of their control, tariffs come into play. It's a whole different conversation at the end of the day. Right? So Xbox is a strategic partner for you that you should leverage at this moment. If if at some point they switch up on you, you back away. You back out. You don't even back away. You dip out. Peace. I'm not doing this anymore. Because again, you are the boss. Right? So everybody answers to you if they want your money. If they don't want to answer to you, they don't get your money. So again, I think the consumer looks at the industry in a very interesting way, but also has to ensure that they're cognizant of exactly where they are in the gaming business. So for now, oh yes, Xbox is good for disrupting the gaming industry that needed to be disrupted all this while. They're doing and making strides and benefiting from it as well, because they understand that the gamer is the boss. And so if they want money from the boss, then they got to make sure that they get some act right together, and the boss is going to give them money. It's that simple. So in this time, with what Xbox is doing, is it good for the industry? Things like Game Pass, heck yeah, good for the industry. Of course, entitlements, cloud saves, being able to access games everywhere, those things are good for the industry. Walled gardens being taken down, great for the industry. Heck yeah. Somebody may come along and basically take Xbox back to the exclusivity days. Shoot, Phil could, the next generation, be like, whoops, I got y'all, and then switch back to exclusivity. You never know. But in this particular moment, the things that they're doing in terms of cutting down the old guard of the industry, yes, I, as a gamer, as an individual, I like it, because you know what it does? It also forces those who have basically held themselves in higher esteem over the customer to finally come down to our level. That's what it is. Thanks for watching the video. Peace out.